Okay guys, this is my video about the Canon M100 and I want to talk to you about the reason that I really enjoy using this camera. When you look at the value of this camera, when you look at the price, when you look at its capabilities, when you look at its deficits and its defects, they all come together into some kind of an interesting mishmash. The M100 is, for me, practically the number one choice. There are other cameras that I could pick, but the M100 always seems to be very near the top of that list. And it's a fairly extensive list of cameras I could choose, but it always comes back to the M100. I've just noticed that in the last year or so. In fact, let me just go back to the whole reason why I got this camera and just move on from there. My name is Jim MacKay. I want to welcome you to my vlog, and I hope that you're enjoying what you're listening to, and let's dive in. The M100 is not the first mirrorless camera that Canon released. They had also come out with the Canon M, their first mirrorless camera, years before. And I think there were some other cameras they might have released before the M100. There were a few higher-end mirrorless cameras, but too expensive for my taste. The price is around $600. You got an APS-C sized sensor on a mirrorless camera, and it has dual pixel autofocus. It's got a 180-degree selfie screen that you can see yourself with, and it has the same sensor and the same brains as the Canon 80D. So it's like a mini 80D, and the 80D is, you're talking in the thousands of dollars, like maybe upwards to $1,500, $1,200, $1,500, whatever it was in Canadian. It was a lot of coin. And this camera gets dropped at half the price, maybe even less than half. It was, to me, a bargain. I could find the money for this. Where I couldn't find the money, couldn't justify the 80D, couldn't even justify the 70D at the time, I could buy this. And I would get Canon's dual pixel autofocus. I would get the same kind of photography power as the 80D. It was a no-brainer. Now, when I bought it, there were caveats, right? There were things that weren't perfect about it. And one of the things that wasn't so perfect about it is it didn't have its own dedicated mic jack. And that was a problem, but I ignored it. All of the other things it had going for it, I decided, you know what, I can do without the mic jack. I'll do without that. I just want to have this amazing camera that I can use. So I bought myself the Canon M100, and I got it. I started using it. I started trying it. And you know, it's one of those interesting things. The first few times I used it, it was okay. And I was excited. I was really happy to have this new camera. I was amazed by dual pixel autofocus. But then something strange happened. I started to watch the videos that people were releasing about this camera, all of these influencers on YouTube. And what I noticed over and over again was these people were just not impressed. They thought this camera was really a loser. You could see these videos, and over again, these people were just saying, yeah, no, this is maybe one of the worst cameras that Canon's released. I think in some ways I was influenced by the influencers, and I began to kind of say, well, gee, maybe I did waste my money. Maybe this camera isn't so good. Maybe it's not what I was looking for at all. And so I ended up not using the M100 as much as maybe I should have. After the M100 was released, about a year later, Sony released the A7 III, which kind of covered all of the bases again, and it had very beautiful 4K. Like, this camera could take really, really detailed and beautiful 4K video. It had the mic jack that I needed or wanted. I guess I really didn't need it, but I wanted it. And it also had the autofocus that Sony brought to the game, which was very comparable to what Canon had with its dual pixel autofocus. So I started using that camera, and at that point, I kind of sat my M100 aside and didn't use it very much. And that was the way things continued for probably 3 years, maybe 3 or 4 years. The Canon M100 got sidelined. I didn't sell it. I didn't get rid of it. I just kind of put it on the shelf and basically forgot about it for a while. So here's what happened. The Canon M100 kind of went on the shelf, stopped using it, wasn't using this camera very much anymore. Most of the time using the A7 III, or some of my Canon DSLRs, and it got left behind. And other times, you know, just using my phone or using my action cameras. So I didn't see a space for the M100. What happened was I started picking it up instead of my smartphone. Every once in a while, I didn't want to use a smartphone for photos when I was just going somewhere for fun, and I didn't want to grab my A7 III, which is a big, bulky, heavy camera that I had to have a big, bulky, heavy lens on. And also, I would be going places and saying, well, I don't know that I want to take my expensive camera there. I wouldn't mind taking a cheaper camera where I'm not worried so much about carrying this thing around. Maybe I don't want to take that camera in this particular place. Maybe I don't want to take my fancy camera out on the boat. Maybe I don't want to take it into the city. Maybe I don't want to just have this bulkier thing that I have to carry around with me. I want something that I can throw in my pocket, but I don't want to just completely throw away image quality. I'd rather have something that I could still say, yeah, you know what, this is still an interchangeable lens. It's not very big, but it'll get the job done. And that's where I slowly started to pick up the M100. I started saying, you know what, this camera is pretty good at photography. And I actually started to go back to using it for photos. And what I discovered was I didn't always want to have an EVF. Sometimes I didn't want to look through a little viewer, optical or electronic. I just wanted something simplified that I could just get the photos or just get the full HD video, take the pictures, get the videos, and just be able to grab something and go and know that I could get Canon's beautiful colors and also be able to have something that was very simple to use and was like a smartphone, but not a smartphone. This camera has a touch screen, a beautiful touch screen that works flawlessly because it's a Canon camera. The touchscreen works beautifully. The touchscreen is beautiful. Like, it gives you a beautiful image and it's quite bright. So with all of these things in mind, this camera also has, these really small compact lenses. And when you partner this with something like the f2 22mm lens, I guess you technically call it a pancake lens, and you've got this little camera that is getting you the beautiful colors, the beautiful sharpness of APS-C. It's a little bit more than 24 megapixels. This camera is kind of the Goldilocks camera. It checks off so many boxes. And when I initially got it, I was like the kid in the candy store, the new camera with the dual pixel autofocus, very excited to use it with the ADD sensor and everything. And then I started to see how people were saying, well, yeah, but it's not got 4K, it's just full HD. Yeah, but it's got dual pixel autofocus, but it doesn't have an EVF. And there were people, of course, who were saying it's too basic, that you go into your menus and they're way too basic. You need something that you can go deeper in and do more. But the truth was, most of the time, these things that people were saying were drawbacks create a camera that probably for a lot of people who are just interested in having a camera to grab and go and take photos with when they're going out with their friends, when they're going on a vacation, when they're just somebody who's not a camera nerd. They're not going to geek out on the camera. They just want to have something that they can take with them and take pictures, and it's just going to work. And maybe they just want a camera that is not their phone, but yet is kind of similar to their phone. They have an affinity to this camera because, yeah, you know what? It works a bit like the phone. I don't have to look through some little window to look at things. I'm just looking at the screen like my phone. It's touch screen like my phone. It's small, small and lightweight like my phone, but this thing has interchangeable lenses. So I've got abilities to go deeper with this and take better pictures and different kinds of photos. I know you can do some of that with your phone now, but this just takes it, in my opinion, to a higher level. So I got kind of interested in this camera. In fact, what I noticed was as I was using it more, I started to see that the photos I took with this camera were actually quite beautiful. I was going to call this video a hidden gem, the M100. But the truth is, I don't think the M100 is a hidden gem any longer. If you're interested in this camera, if you'd like to get it, it might be a good idea to go and check it out online. It's a used camera. You can't buy it new anymore. It's a dead system. The M100 is no longer being produced or manufactured by Canon, but it's a great camera. There are still lots of used options out there that you can buy. The problem is, it seems like this camera is becoming popular again for all the same reasons I said in this video. I think when this camera was designed, people didn't really catch what Canon was offering. There was somebody at Canon that I think really knew what they were doing. This camera was, I believe, a really great option. I went online to see how much this camera cost because I wanted to talk about this hidden gem and tell people, hey, this thing is really cheap online. You should go out and get this because, hey, it's a real bargain. It isn't. What I found out is this isn't a real bargain. Apparently, people have caught on. There's a lot of people that have figured this out, and it is not a bargain. So far, today when I was doing my research, I was looking all in Canadian dollars because I'm in Canada. I think it started out at around $600 for this camera originally, and now this camera online in the usual places was basically $400 and up to $900, almost $1,000 maybe for some. So this hidden gem, I'm afraid, guys, doesn't seem to be hidden. I would hesitate right now, even though I was telling you all the things about how cool this camera is, how fun the camera is to use. I've been showing images and videos, but the point is, I couldn't recommend spending the extra money. That's the only problem. If you're going to spend $400 or $500 for a camera that was originally $600 9 years ago, you know, there would be other options. But I just want to say it's a really great camera. If you can get a good deal on it somewhere, then I'd wholeheartedly say, yeah, this is a fun camera. And you probably won't regret it if you're just somebody who just likes to have something that is going to replace your phone, that's going to be easy to use. Yeah, it's got kind of the classic look. Can't recommend it enough. So guys, my name is Jim MacKay. Thank you for watching the video. If you've made it this far, congratulations. If you'd like to subscribe to my channel, that would be awesome. And you can give a thumbs up if you liked what you saw. I hope to see you in the next video. Until then, bye-bye.